Sarah had always imagined that marriage was going to be a partnership, a blend of laughter, comfort, and mutual support. She married Michael when she was 27, believing they were ready to face life's challenges together. At first, things were wonderful. They traveled, cooked together, and shared small inside jokes that made her feel like she had found her forever friend. But over time, cracks began to appear, subtle at first, then deeper, like a slow leak that finally floods a room. Michael started coming home later from work, his shoulders heavy with stress and his mind elsewhere. Conversations became shorter, smiles less frequent. Sarah, once vibrant and hopeful, found herself sitting at the kitchen table alone most evenings, pushing food around her plate while waiting for him to join her. One chilly autumn evening, she decided to take a walk just to clear her head. It was then that she saw the small adoption flyer on the bulletin board at the local cafe. A photograph of a golden retriever with warm eyes and a tilted head caught her attention. The caption read, "Looking for a loving home." Without fully understanding why, Sarah tore off the contact number. A week later, Max came into her life. He was 4 years old, gentle, and carried the kind of calm energy that made Sarah feel seen. From the moment he stepped into their house, Max seemed to understand her unspoken loneliness. Whenever she sat on the couch, he rested his head on her knee. On nights when Michael didn't come home until late, Max would lie beside her, his steady breathing soothing her restless thoughts. Michael at first didn't mind Max being around. He even played with him occasionally. But as weeks turned into months, Sarah noticed a difference in the way she felt. She smiled more, even laughed, something she hadn't done regularly in years. Max had this way of bringing her into the present moment. He'd nudge her when he wanted a walk, paw at her leg to play, or simply sit with her when she needed quiet. The change in her didn't escape Michael's notice, though he misread it. One evening, he commented, "You seem happier these days," but there was a distance in his tone, almost as if he felt replaced. Sarah didn't know how to explain that Max wasn't replacing Michael. He was simply filling an emotional gap that had been left empty for so long. Over the next year, Sarah and Max created a daily routine. Morning walks through the park, afternoon fetch games in the backyard, and quiet evenings on the sofa became the rhythm of her life. She started to paint again, inspired by the way Max looked at the world, as if every rustling leaf and distant bird was a miracle worth noticing. There was a snowy winter night when Michael had to leave on a business trip unexpectedly. The snowstorm rolled in faster than forecasted, and by evening, the world outside was white and silent. Sarah lit candles in the living room, and Max curled up by her feet. For the first time in years, she felt safe and warm without needing anyone else to validate her feelings. It wasn't that she didn't love Michael. It was that somewhere along the way, they had stopped showing up for each other. The more time she spent with Max, the more she understood the value of steady presence over grand gestures. Michael was kind, but his love was often distracted, pulled in too many directions. Max's love was simple, unwavering, and always there. The turning point came one spring afternoon. Michael had promised to join Sarah for lunch in the garden. She prepared a picnic, laid out a blanket, and waited. 2 hours passed. No call, no message. Finally, she packed up the food and sat on the grass with Max instead. As she fed him small pieces of bread, tears welled in her eyes, not from anger, but from the quiet realization that this had become the norm. That day, she made a decision. Not to leave her marriage immediately, but to stop waiting for Michael to fill a role he had long since abandoned. She would start living fully, with or without his attention. Over the following months, Sarah built a life that centered on the things that brought her peace. Max was her loyal shadow, joining her on weekend hikes, accompanying her to outdoor art fairs, even sitting beside her during her early morning coffee rituals. Friends noticed the change in her. "You look happier," they'd say, and she would smile because it was true. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Sarah sat on the porch with Max. She realized that the love she received from him was teaching her something vital. Love didn't have to be loud or dramatic to be real. It could be quiet, steady, and still transform you completely. In the 5th year of owning Max, Sarah finally had the courage to sit down with Michael and talk honestly. She explained how she felt invisible, how she had been carrying the weight of their connection alone. Michael listened, perhaps truly hearing her for the first time. While she didn't know what the future held for their marriage, she knew she would never again neglect the parts of herself that needed care. And through it all, Max stayed by her side, the silent witness to her journey, the one who had given her back her laughter when she thought it was lost forever. The truth was, Max had achieved something Michael hadn't in years. He had made her feel loved every single day. And that was something she would cherish for the rest of her life.